Hello, hello! Been a while since the last solo raid, huh? The extra 2 weeks of wait to actually play a boss. And this time it's actually a fun one too. So, as is obvious, we're going to be talking about Providence here. These are my scores, both on the main and the alt. This is the main. This is the alt. Here's the teams if you care. If you don't care about the commentary, here you go. And if you care about the fact that you may not have Maids, I might as well point out this one. I use Grave Rapunzel here. Grave Summer Mary also works. Either way, they're both healing without needing to burst, and that's what matters. The boss will make you take damage, but for the most part, most of his damage is avoidable. It's mostly just the missiles and the swipes. But if you're on top of things, you might be able to do it without heals. I just haven't tested, and Grave is more prone to taking damage, and so I didn't even try, right? But I think it is possible to do without healing, or shields. Which is, I think, a first since, what, like Behemoth? It's been a while. Far too long, to be honest. But, yeah. Let's talk about the bosses. We're going to start talking with the electric. I'm going to explain how the boss functions as well while at it. But, yeah. This boss is pretty simple. Whenever he swipes, cover just before, and you can just, you know, avoid all the damage. Here I just took the hit so I could burst earlier, because it's hard to just cover at the right time and everything while bursting. The boss will have parts of his body light up in different colors. You have to shoot those parts. It's basically a QTE, but built in the boss's design. Effectively, you have a bigger surface area to actually break the QTE, and that's what matters. These QTE also counts as parts. This is because of Raven. This is also why Raven completely shits over Eve in this raid, because there's constantly parts to break, which means she constantly has her sustained damage buff from skill 2, which needs to be at 10 for this raid if you want to really perform. So, as a result, you just do a shitload of damage. She literally doubles Eve's damage for me on my main. Also, for those who cares, this is my alts clears. I decided against showing my mains clears because my main has more merges across the board, which also translate to the part QTE at roughly 1 minute left being a lot easier. So, this electric team, by the way, is, I think, might be Core 3 Cinderella. Summer Anise is no merge. Rouge has like 1 or 2 merge. Mary has no merge. Maiden has no merge. And I did not really work on getting attack on Summer Anise either, who's your main unit to break the parts. More on that later. So, if I can do it, you probably can too. Just want to point that out because I know some people struggle with the part QT. It took me a few tries, I think 3 or 4 times on this account and 0 on the main, of course. So that's the main contributing factor why I decided to go with my alts clears. It's effectively the same team. I'm going to be showcasing both with Maids and without. I just have a recording of both, so I might as well. But yeah, you want to cover these swipes. They do almost no cover damage. And I think even if your cover's broken, if you get swiped by it while covering, you take less damage. I don't know why that's the case, but it does help overall, right? So, really, you don't really see them, but I am breaking the colored parts. Maiden is a, well, as you can see, a rocket launcher, so she's just breaking all the parts at once. My alt also struggle with burst gen because Mary has no max ammo, okay? probably should fix that. But effectively what that translates to is I have to be a lot more deliberate with charging full charge right as the burst ends. Because if I don't do that, I struggle getting to the next QT, yeah, like that. I have to, like, lean on Maiden or Rouge. Rouge is probably the better option because Maiden's projectile takes a bit to get to the enemy, so you generate less burst, but I'm just used to swapping to Maiden, so I forget to make the change sometimes. But yeah, the fight is pretty simple once you understand that. You want to break the parts as much as you can. The one that's the most tricky is the one where it goes a bit in the back toward the middle, where the arm on the left, your left, not his left, colors to orange. You have to look out for it because you almost have no time to break it. This is the tantrum attack, and now you have the parts to break. So you want to generate burst as fast as you can here. If you're fast enough, you can get 2 bursts in. The reason why that matters is because, as you can see, breaking the parts is not easy. This is really rough because the boss constantly moves. So here, for example, I have to basically throw everything to break it in time, and I just barely make it. Okay, but again, I want to keep reiterating. I almost have no attack on Maiden. I don't think I have any attack on Anise. And I think I have 2 attack on Cinderella, which is like a 10% damage increase overall, because she already boosted her attack based on HP so much that the attack you get is overly drowned in all that attack. Another thing to mention is you might want to focus on the middle parts because of Maiden. Because she's using a rocket launcher, she might be able to hit the other parts. I believe she can, but you know, I was able to get the run done by that time. I didn't struggle too long to really test out things. So try to get the middle ones first and then focus on the top and bottom, if you can. Or if it feels natural to you. At the end of the day, as long as you can do the QT, you're good. And here you go. Like, you see here, you almost had I almost fucked up breaking that part in time. That's on me. Another thing to mention is that every time you break a part, and that's why you want to break every single part, if you fail to break one, you will do less damage, is that once you break a part, he will stumble. When he stumbles, a core becomes visible. Not just visible, it's not part of the body unless he stumbles. Essentially, it's a weak hit, so you can do more damage, so you can, like, capitalize. The point of that is, it's more damage, so break every part you can. They almost have no HP anyway, so you should be fine with this. Here I just did a Maiden Burst because I got the 12 stack. Once again, just a point to mention that this is a thing to do. Once again, I barely broke it in time. Once you're toward the end, you can just give up on covering and just try to get another burst in. On my main, I did succeed. Ideally, you burst with Maiden, because the full damage of the burst is so fast. Even if you're only on 2 stacks, it is still, you know, a good chunk of damage instantly, because you usually have like 2 to 3 seconds left, tops. So if you want to squeeze as much damage as possible, just burst with Maiden at the end. That's it. So that's Team 1. This is by far the hardest team because, as I said, you have to break the parts in time. I believe I didn't actually let it run through and kill me with it, but I believe if you fail the QT, you die. Because the boss, the damage the boss does is a lot. He will punish you a lot if you fail to break parts, or if you fail to break, well, the parts of that part of the fight. So, yeah. Second one is SBS Alice. This is without Maids. It's not that difficult, but it's hard to focus on shooting the core whenever available with Alice, while also dealing with everything. There is no shield, and the only heal you get are Rapunzel here. I believe Summer Mary would be a slightly better option, but you do slightly less damage. Like, I'm talking 20 mil less, maybe? But really, Mary is a lot more safe if you have Summer Mary. I know she's not exactly a character everyone has, but that's exactly why I picked Rapunzel in the first place. Because that's a character most people should have by now, if they are in the endgame, right? Whereas Summer Mary is a summer character that is not exactly viewed favorably, but frankly, our healing is really, really good. Does not need to be burst with. So, I just constantly mention her if you have her when you need a healing, because it's just easy to slot into a team. My ult also doesn't have Summer Helm, so some teams that are like using healing, like shotguns for example, I have a feeling what you could do is replace Noir with Summer Helm, but I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. I'm going to mention what I mean once we get to that two shotguns. Shotgun is a very simple team as well. But yeah, this is pretty straightforward as long as you do the circles, and once you get to the point of this move, it's also a lot easier. Usually you should be in Alice Burst, so you should be able to break a good chunk of it, like that. I almost broke all 6, but bad aim moment because the boss keeps moving. If you are using the Maids, I mean, I can just showcase. It's very easy. You basically ignore a lot of the mechanics, because as long as you have an Aegis member, doesn't have to be main masked. Anchor is going to be healing quite a bit, so you're just able to just stay alive from that and the overheal alone. It is really silly. But, yeah. Here it's a little more dangerous because Rapunzel is all that's healing you. But it's fine. You do lose quite a bit of damage, though, I want to say. I did like 2.1 bill with this team. But if I had the Maids, I would be doing more like 2.7 because of the reload for Alice and also the distributed damage increase for SBS. So yeah. Again, once you understand how the boss works, the boss is pretty simple. But at the very least, while he is simple like the ones in for the last few months, you have to use your head a little, you know? You can't just like forget mechanics and just keep punching in the same place the whole fight. Looking at you, Gluttony, outside of that one QTE you had to shoot during the duration or he was killing your entire team. That was so lame of a fight. Black Snake was even worse. There was like no real difficulty in those fights. Or any use of your head, really. It was not great. So here is Shotgun. My ult does not have Summer Helm, so I was not able to try this. Oh, actually. Before that, I'm going to not let this run the whole way, but effectively, yeah, here you can see like just how much healing you take consistently to a point where there's just kind of no point in doing all the mechanics. You do want to do the mechanics. The main mechanic you're going to just be ignoring and shooting through, especially if you have to generate burst, or is the double swipe attack, right? The rest is fine. You probably still want to do it because the core, right? But yeah, as you can see, like, healing is more than fine. As you can see, 2.77. My ult and my main are not exactly comparable, so don't don't see this as, wow, Maids is a 30% damage increase. I honestly don't know how good my allies compare from both accounts, right? But if you take that out of the equation, it should be about right. Main thing is that Scarlet does like 600 mil more, and Alice does a bit more as well. So I think if my ult had the Maids, I would be doing 2.8, 2.9. So yeah, just something worth mentioning. Anyway, back into shotguns now. So yeah, I don't have Summer Helm for this team, but I think what you can do is run Blanc without Noir, which is weird, but the main thing is that Summer Helm is also a burst 2. She has CDR. That's a huge deal. So the problem with shotguns is you always have 2 seconds between bursts. Summer Helm would get rid of that. That's 1. 2, Summer Helm's damage taken debuff is effectively permanent. So it's just better. Here's the thing with Blanc, right? Yeah, she gives 10 seconds of damage taken debuff, and she would still do that every 3 bursts. Maybe every 2, actually. Well, I mean like 2 Summer Helm bursts and then 1 Blanc. Not 100% on that. I haven't tried. This is not a boss where you need consistent healing. So if you do pay attention to the swipe and you do cover them, I think Summer Helm would be better because her damage taken debuff has 100% uptime, whereas Blanc's damage taken debuff is basically 50% uptime. It lasts for 10 seconds, burst lasts for 15 seconds, and then you have no CDR, so you still have to wait another 5 seconds. So, like, you have 10 seconds of uptime, 10 seconds of downtime. So, if you do that, you might be able to get another extra burst. That's pretty good. But, also, the damage taken would be always there. And it's not like one replaces the other. If Blanc's bursting, the damage taken debuff, guess what? It sticks on top of Summer Helm's. So you should, in theory, you should be doing more damage. Here is the thing that might make a little bit of difficulty. It's the fact that Noir does refill ammo, so you have less time spent on reloading. That might make a difference. But other than that, I think if you run Blanc and then you burst with Summer Helm off burst, I think that's going to be fine. If you do everything fine about the fight, you might just not need Blanc bursting every time to stay alive. Blanc heals for so much anyway, it's so unnecessary. So, yeah, just wanted to point that out in case someone has Summer Helm built, and by this I mean skill 2 level 10, the rest at 1. Because the rest is really not necessary. Oh, also Noir does more damage than Summer Helm, but she doesn't do that much overall, so I think it might be better. Play around with it, test both, and then you'll see, I guess. But yeah, the fight otherwise is pretty simple. Ideally, what I do is, when I'm off burst, I control Noir, so that the other 2 shotgun fully refills their ammo count instead of doing a third of it because I'm constantly shooting. Because both Drake and Soda are clip shotguns, right? But, you know, as is obvious, if you're bursting, it's better to be with Soda so she has less downtime reloading non-stop. So when you're off burst, you want to refill ammo so that when you get into full burst, you can just constantly shooting, or at least shoot more. That's at least the idea here, if you want to maximize damage. Also, Drake's burst is awful. I really wish it was auto-targeting bosses. But no, you have to make it hit the boss, and because of that, it just misses 9 times out of 10. It's awful. Sometimes you're like dead on the boss, and it just does the red lightning behind the map, and it's like, bro, where are you shooting? There's nothing there. Oh yeah, I got hit by an alarm while I was doing this. Whoops. But yeah, this is a pretty simple fight. If you have a really good soda with good elemental, you'll do absolutely better than me. My main does worse than my alt with this. My ult did 2.2, and as you can see, like, breaking parts is really easy with soda. Holy crap. It's also because full burst lasts for a long time. Yeah, I just moved to the main body because I know he's going to be spinning, and you have plenty of time to break the part anyway. But yeah. I think my main did 2 bill, and my ult did 2.2. More or less. Soda is just very, very good to work on in general. I do use her sometimes in tower, because what else are you going to use as an iron unit to deal with the fucking electric suicide bombers, right? Like, take a moment and think. What else is there? Rupee? Bruh. Pass. Double it and pass it to the next one. It's so bad. I just wish these special were not obscuring my vision, but you get used to it. Here I just stop caring because I'm at full HP and I'm at the very end, so, you know, could be more aggressive. But yeah, shotgun is pretty simple, and the other two are pretty simple as well. I don't think there's much else to say. Other than Raven is surprisingly very, very good in this raid. Here I control Tia the whole way through, so obviously I have resilience on her. I recommend swapping to resilience on her because of that reason. But yeah, also you might want resilience on Raven. It's not really great for her. The destroy part thing might be better, but the reason why I recommend resilience is because it's probably higher level, more elemental damage, right? And that's the part that matters. Oh, another thing, and this isn't related to this team, we're going to be talking a bit about Electric team again. Depending on how fast you break the parts to constantly make the boss stumble, you might have an easier time with breaking the parts if you wait a little on some parts. I just went full speed ahead, and it ended up working, but if you can do it, like, if you can push it a little further so that you're able to burst with Summer and Niece right as he goes in the back, instead of for the last 3 seconds, that might make your life a lot easier. As I said, Summer and Niece is a much easier time at breaking parts, so if you get the damage increase from the burst, you might have an easier time. Just thought I'd make that, just thought I'd point that out. Here is pretty simple. If you want to have an easier time, just swap to Evia like that, and then focus on the parts. Raven will hit every parts anyway, so she does 7-tuple damage, my bad, during that. So that's why you don't want to burst with her first. You want to burst with her second. So it lines up with that. And also just because it makes that way easier. Like way, way easier to do the part QT, as people call it. But yeah, this is pretty simple at this point. But hey, on the bright side, it's at least fun to play. Which, yeah. I wish I could say that about more solo raid bosses as of late. This is probably, to me, it's probably the most fun solo raid since Behemoth. But that's just me. Again, if you have low ammo on Tia, similar to with Mary, do a pre-charge, like a pre-full charge before shooting when the burst ends, so you can potentially get more burst time as a result. And now, Team 5, this is the easiest one, like genuinely. Oh, actually, hold on. I forgot to show the damage. Yeah, 1.7 bill versus 900 bill. If you're wondering why some people do not use Eve, that's why. If you don't have good elemental, I believe if you use overspec Mihara over Eve, you might be doing better than with Eve, which is pretty fucking telling. But yeah. If you have decent enough elemental, she is absolutely better. I believe on my main, if I was using Eve versus if I was using Mihara, I was losing like 300 mil damage if I was using Mihara. But if you don't have a good Eve yet, might be worth mentioning. Another one worth mentioning if you have good elemental is Maxwell. Maxwell is not that good, but if you charge shot into the core, the big laser burst, if you charge that into the core when it's visible, it does double damage, because it will pierce into the core and into the main body. So you can actually do pretty well. I've even seen Snow White put in some mad work on this raid because of that. Anyway. This is the last team. This is bordering on brain dead, if I'm being completely honest. If you struggle with this one, I don't know what to tell you. Ignore the first swipe. Burst early so that Crown Shield can deal with the second one. RH Crown, RH for the first burst. And yeah, just do damage. Just do as much damage as you can. Honestly, at this point, it's just target practice. This is the easiest fucking team of the bunch. Honestly, I didn't even know about the colored part QTE when I did this on my main. I did this on my main first and then my ult. I didn't know about the colored part QTE, and I still did not get hit by any QTE just because Rappy's explosion rounds just set them off. Because it does a little AoE around it, so it just hits everywhere anyway, so who cares? But, yeah. This is pretty self-explanatory. You just do as much damage as possible. If the core is present, you want to focus on the core, especially if RH is the one bursting. But yeah. Here, you can literally not cover, but it was at this point ingrained into me. But if you have a shield and your shield is healthy, you literally can tank both slaps. It does nothing. Just something worth mentioning, because I didn't realize it until the end of this fight, I think, that I just did not have to bother with it. So there's a bit of damage I could have kept from that, I think. Also, this is why you burst with RH first. She has the easiest time at breaking parts overall. Unless you run Rappy and you get a bomb attachment in the middle part, because that would hit every part. But that's really hard to do, so, you know. Goal is to do well without overexerting yourself, really. That's the way I look at it. Here I just did not bother, and then I realized, wait, I didn't take damage. Then I fucking realized, right, shields are a thing. Damn, that's crazy. But, yeah. if you can like use all of these teams, especially with the Maids, 16 build should be fairly easy if you've been playing for a long time. If you're more on the new side, obviously it's going to go way lower because you have so many units to have built, especially RH. She's not exactly that imperative as she once was. But hey, hopefully this helps some, as I always say. And yeah. Once again, this was my overall score on the ult. These are the team you just watched, with all their damage numbers. You do generally want to pair Crown with RH and Rappy, because those are your two best Iron DPS. And generally you still have plenty of Iron DPS for the other teams. Another thing of note, something you might be confused upon looking at it. I have Litter on this team, and I have D on this team. You might want to swap it around. These were the teams I concocted with the idea that I needed an Iron unit per team except Electric, because Electric just ignores the rule every time. So I just tried it like that, and I didn't have Rapunzel, I had the Maids on the main, and then I copied my team from the main. That actually worked well. But Litter might do better with Eve and Raven, and D better with Alice, because of the Pierce damage. But it's hard to say, right? This might be a case of, depends on your investment on your Alice. So, if you feel like trying both for, you know, just squeezing that extra bit of damage, that might be a good move. You might be able to get a little more damage. And this is my main's damage, of course. And this is the overall damage for all teams. As you can see, my shotgun team does worse than on my ult. That's because my Soda on the ult is better. That's just it. But otherwise, yeah, this is it. So, as I said, I hope this is helpful to some. And with that, I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice one, everyone. I'll see you all later.